What if the war in Ukraine could end today? That's the question echoing through the halls of global diplomacy following a surprising move by former U.S. President Donald Trump. After a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Trump suggested that peace talks between the two countries might be on the horizon. But there's more. Trump's comments could potentially reshape the entire international approach to the Ukraine conflict. Stick with us as we dive deep into what these new developments mean for the war and the future of Ukraine's place in the world. It was a moment that caught many off guard. Donald Trump, a former U.S. president, claims that he and Vladimir Putin have agreed to start negotiations on ending the war in Ukraine, the setting. A prisoner swap that took everyone by surprise. Trump stated that the call with Putin lasted more than an hour, and in that time, both sides seemingly agreed on one thing: peace is the goal. Trump, speaking from the Oval Office, said he believes Putin wants the war to end. In his words, "I think we're on the way to getting peace." Here's where it gets even more interesting. Trump spoke next with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but here's the twist. He was not clear on whether Ukraine would play an equal role in negotiations. That's right. Trump's statements have sparked serious questions about the future of the peace process and whether the Ukrainian government will even be at the table. Could peace talks between Russia and the U.S. leave Ukraine sidelined? Let's break it down. In essence, Trump's approach signals a major shift. The Biden administration has always insisted that Ukraine must be an equal participant in any peace talks. But Trump's suggestion to negotiate directly with Putin, bypassing Kyiv, could be a game changer. Why? It challenges the idea that Ukraine has a say in every step of the peace process. Instead, Trump seems to believe that it's ultimately up to Putin and himself, with Zelensky simply having to make peace. This breaks from long-standing U.S. policy and raises alarm bells among Ukrainian leaders and their allies. So what does this mean for Ukraine's future? Let's take a closer look at some key developments. One of the biggest shifts in Trump's recent comments comes on NATO. For years, NATO membership for Ukraine seemed like a given, something the West would back. But now Trump seems to be walking back that notion. In a conversation with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth at NATO's Brussels headquarters, Trump called NATO membership for Ukraine unrealistic. He added that it was probably true that Ukraine would not be joining the alliance anytime soon. This is a stark contrast to the promises made during the Biden administration, which had consistently supported Ukraine's eventual NATO membership. Could this be a sign that the West is ready to pull back on its support for Ukraine's NATO ambitions? While Trump's statements on NATO may have disappointed many, Ukrainian President Zelensky took a different approach. Despite the unexpected turn in events, Zelensky tweeted that he had a meaningful conversation with Trump about peace opportunities. He expressed gratitude, adding that Ukraine remains ready to work together at the team level. But will this optimism hold as reality sets in? Zelensky's public optimism may be his way of keeping morale high at home, but behind the scenes, the situation is likely far more complicated. After all, agreeing to peace talks that potentially marginalize Ukraine could leave deep scars on the country's political landscape. So what happens next? Trump has suggested that a face-to-face meeting with Putin might be in the works. In fact, he hinted that this could take place soon in Saudi Arabia. A dramatic shift from traditional diplomacy, where the U.S. and Russia rarely hold direct negotiations outside of established channels. But could this be the breakthrough the world is hoping for, or will it just fuel more division? As Trump takes center stage in these peace talks, the world is watching closely. Will he succeed in bringing the parties to the table, or will this spark even more geopolitical tension? The war in Ukraine has devastated millions, and it's clear that the international community is looking for answers. Trump's bold approach to peace talks may offer the best hope for ending the conflict, or it could lead to even more questions. As always, the world's eyes are on Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. What do you think? Will these negotiations lead to lasting peace, or are we witnessing the beginning of another diplomatic mess? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more updates on this developing story. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think peace is possible? And if so, what role should Ukraine play in the negotiations?